Hello everyone, this is umonox. Welcome to my second part of my little question and answer video series for you guys. Now, in my last video, I've answered a question from Chatolas, who wants to see how the Digitakt works together with the ARP Odyssey. Link is coming up in the top right corner if you've missed it. And in today's video, I want to show how the Digitakt works along with the BigSky. So without further hesitation, let's get started. Okay, so here we are. This time it's about a question from William Littlejohn and how the Digitakt is working together with the BigSky. And just a quick side note in that case, to answer your question in advance, currently, it's not possible to process individual drum sounds from the tracks of the Digitakt with the BigSky because we only have one stereo output going into a stereo input on this pedal, so we will always process the master output. There is a way to sample it, so there is a way to make this possible via sampling. This is true, I will show that a little bit later, but it will be a mono reverb in that case, and it's probably not the thing you want to have. Now, as always, first let's go in and create a new project, so we can start from scratch. Turn the mix knob down. Yeah, and here we are with the basic default sounds. Fairly simple, fairly standard. Okay, now, as you can see, the routing is actually pretty simple. Yet again, I have the MIDI output from the Digitakt connected to the MIDI input of the BigSky, and I also have the left and right output from the Digitakt hooked up to the inputs of the BigSky, and the main output from the BigSky is going into the analog heat, which I'm currently using to record all of my stuff. It's not processing anything, it's just recording it. So I'm actually using the BigSky as kind of like a master insert effect, and that's currently more or less the only way we can use it with the Digitakt now. When Overbridge is out, the Overbridge Premium suite will stream all the individual tracks into the DAW, and there will be a way through your audio interface to route that, but this is something we must cover later, and I'm also not sure if I'm really getting Overbridge Premium. But anyway, let's see what we can do at the moment. So we have those drum sounds. Now dialing the reverb in. Yeah. I love the reverb from the BigSky, mates. Yeah. So, okay, now first things first, the BigSky, pretty much every parameter on this thing can be controlled via MIDI. And to make sure that everything is working, we first, as we had before with the ARP Odyssey, we have to make sure that the MIDI channel is set correctly. Now we find this in the globals by keeping this button pressed. And now I can go to MIDI channel, click that button again, and we see channel 1. So that's the channel we want to use. Now I go to the MIDI track right here and do the same thing as before. I activate this first channel, channel 1, and now we can make use of the MIDI continuous controller messages. And if we have a look at the manual from the BigSky, we find all those CC parameters and their corresponding value ranges. Now, pretty much all of those top level knobs can be controlled with different CCs, and those of you who know the BigSky, you know that there are a couple of parameters hidden inside the menu here. Something that we don't find on the top front, like this amount on the shimmer machine, for example, or the, I don't know, low end, probably, something like this. And yeah, things like that could be set up on the Digitakt. So we have those parameters available. This is shift parameter, for example, and this is the shift 2. Here's the mod and the tone and stuff like that. And when we go in here, we can see on the parameter list, we have shift 1 and 2. Those are assigned to param 1 and param 2. And we have a mount. And the mount is currently not assigned anywhere, so I turn it down. Just a quick moment. And bring that up. See what it does. You hear that? So this is not assigned anywhere, so I go to the MIDI track right now, and I have a look in the manual what amount does have what MIDI CC number amount for this particular machine has. And I have a look and I see that's the shimmer machine, and amount has the MIDI CC number 27. So I go in here and I take MIDI CC number 27. It's this one. And I activate that parameter. Just dialing on it, and you can see how it starts to dial on that thing. And now when I let's actually put in a sequence, because I cannot control MIDI and audio at the same time with this, because I cannot trigger that. So let's go to this track right here and put down a simple sequence. Something like this. And I now go to the MIDI track and dial on this knob. You can see it's getting that value in. Now, as I said before, those parameters on the BigSky, they all have different value ranges. So some go up to 127 and some do not. And the amount is actually something which is not going up to 128, 127. Its value is clamped to up to 18, as far as I can tell. So if we go up, see, it stops at 18. Now nothing happens anymore and it's going down again. So it has reached its full level on 18 already. And for other parameters, this is not true. Other parameters have different ranges and stuff like that. But all of the advanced options you find when you go in here, those that are inside here, all of those do have lower ranges. So only the parameters in the top row that we see, they have range 0 to 127. So if we would go in and if we would have a look at what the mix knob, for example, for the reverb is, this is CC parameter 15. So let's actually select CC parameter 15 here, which is our mix knob. Yeah, now we activate that one, bring that in, and now we don't have any reverb. You see, when I turn this up, it goes up till infinity. This is one of the top parameters that are on the machine itself, and those have the full range up to 127. And the advanced parameters that are inside here in this menu, those advanced parameters right here, they do not have a range which is so high. Yeah, let's see what we can do with this. Now, as a setup example, I would probably not use this on drums themselves, but use the Digitakt to do some kind of, I don't know, some melodic stuff. Let's first make sure, okay, we have nothing anymore. So I clear the sequence real quick and let's take this kick drum, or let's actually take the sound and put in the sequence, give us some sort of a metronome that I can play to. Let's try that out. Yeah, that's cool. So let's go on this kick drum track and let's do some single cycle waveform stuff here. Just real quick to get the idea, So I do a forward loop. Now, okay, let's shape that sound a little bit. And let's try something out. Just trying something out. Let's quickly quantize it. So there's something inside. So let's go on this track. I put the quantization up in advance now. And on this track, let's Oops, let's do something else, I don't know. Same procedure actually, just a reverse loop this time. Getting some different sounds, you know. On the amplitude, and yeah, just getting something in. It's just a little bit of noodling around. Let's try it out. Something simple. And now we go to our MIDI track and can start dialing in our BigSky. Yeah, and one other thing, it does also react to program change and bank change messages, but here's an important thing. If we do something like this, the BigSky has kind of like a little bit of a loading time in between. If we change presets and change machines, we have a little bit of a loading time. So have a listen what happens when I change the program now. See that? Yeah, this is what we can do. We can change the program, and we can obviously parameter lock that on the MIDI track, but we do not send notes to the BigSky because there is no need to do so. It cannot process notes anyway. So for the CC changes that we do, things like this, or actually the program change right here, we can use our so-called trickless tricks to do that. Now I go in here and I have a look at where my steps are. So I see I have a step here and here, here, and stuff like that. And now I want to try something out. So I want to make that reverb off on the first step, have it on the second, and so on and so forth, and change some parameters. First, let's go to the shimmer machine, because this is the machine we already have a parameter assigned on the MIDI track right here. The amount is set right here. So let's actually go on this MIDI track, and first let's go on this first track and let's have a look where the steps are. Now this is a little bit fiddly because we have to control it on the MIDI track, but we have our stuff on the audio track. It's a little bit fiddly actually, but let's have a look what we can do. So I see I have this step here and I have a step on the 7th. So I go to this track and I place one thing here and one thing here. So I turn the mix down here, I turn it up here, and watch what happens now. Here comes another important thing. Watch what happens. See that? It keeps the mix up, so it's not a momentary change in that case, as we would expect this from the parameter locks, how they work. We need to tell that BigSky that we want this to be on this step only, so we have to add another step right behind that and have to turn it down again, otherwise it won't work. Let's have a listen now. See that? Now we just have a little bit inside, but not much. So let's bring the mix down a little bit again, so it's not cutting away that thing. And let's remove this step and place it, I don't know, somewhere here, so that we can make sure that the reverb tail has some time to fade out. Let's have a listen how this sounds. Oh, something happened, yeah. Let's have a listen again. And now you can see some great thing happening. My Digitakt crashed, yeah. Let's turn it off. Actually, first time it happened, turn it on again. Yeah. Oh man, it happened to me before, but actually was 1 or 2 times already, and this is the 3rd time now. Yeah, Elektron, you still have to work a little bit on that OS. But anyway. Okay, that's all cool, but I want to show you one last thing. If we want to record this on the Digitakt, we can do this, but there are a couple of things to keep in mind. So let's first clear the whole scene. Let's actually create a completely new project, just to make sure. So here we are back again with our sounds. Nothing's controlling the BigSky at the moment, so here we go. Okay, let's do the single cycle waveform thing again. Just length up, forward loop. Let's work on the filter. And this time, let's make it a little bit slower. Kind of like ambient stuff. I don't know, just something like this. Let's go down to, let's actually go completely down to 30. And now, plays a trick right here. And see what we can do with the trick length. Yeah, let's put this one up and see how this turns out. A little bit of attack, and let's have a listen. Yeah, no, this is probably too long, so let's remove its length a little bit, but increase kind of the release right here. Let's have a listen. Yeah, it's still a little bit too long. Something like this. And now let's use the chorale machine. Let's try something out. Let's go into the track itself and let's change the note. Something like this. Let's try it out. Something very ooh. Let's extend the pattern so that we can keep the reverb tail. Let's have a listen. Yeah, actually the notes are still here, so let's remove them. Okay, now when we want to sample this, I will quickly disconnect the BigSky from the heat now, and so that I'm able to sample that thing. So I put the left input, the left output into the left input, and the right output, you hear the click, I guess, into the right input. Now one thing is very important now. If we want to sample this, it's possible, but we must make sure that the monitor is off. Because when the monitor is on, we are creating an audio feedback, because what we are effectively doing, we send the signal from the Digitakt into the BigSky, and from the BigSky back into the Digitakt. And if we would hear what we are recording now, we would create a feedback loop. So have a listen what happens. Do you see this? Coming in, this is the noise. And yeah, we cannot hear it at the moment because I have it disconnected from the heat. But you get the point. It's very important. You can see how this thing is going up, and when I turn on that now, because there's a ground noise and this is reverberated. So yeah, just keep that monitor off. So I start recording right away and start playback and let this run through. And then I will hook up the BigSky to the to the heat again so that we can hear it. Let's go. Okay, now it's recorded. Let's reconnect our outputs from the Digitakt back into the heat so that we can start to hear it. And now let's see what we have. Save it. Let's quickly assign it somewhere. And this is what we have now. You've noticed the signal is mono now because there is no way to record a stereo signal. So we have this mono thing right here. And we could do something with the LFO, I don't know, bring something into the background. And first let's turn down the mix again so that we don't hear the BigSky at the moment. And I place a trigger right here. And I don't know, filter it down a little bit, just slightly. This is fiddling around, but I think you get the idea. Okay, track is not long enough. Let's increase the length and let's play it back. I can adjust the volume of that track and actually bring some reverb back in from the Digitakt this time. First, let's adjust this one a little bit. Oops, I've accidentally hit it. So let's bring that volume up again. Something like this, I think you get the idea. It's possible to record it, but the great stereo sound of the BigSky is lost that way. So I would really think about if I really want to do that. But if you have drums and you do some neat stuff for drums right here, with the parameter logs I've showed you before and stuff like that, do a nice little sequence or something, it might be okay if you do not have a stereo reverb in that case. But it works, and just make sure that whenever you record the input and you have those hooked up, make sure you have monitor set to no, because otherwise you will create an audio feedback, and this is not sounding great. Okay, William Littlejohn, I hope this has showed you a little bit, and next up will be a video about the Analog 4, and this will be a little bit more extensive, so please give me a little bit more time to do it. And yeah, I would say I see you in that next video. Bye, my friends.